Okay, hello all you crazy people out there, this is Michael of the 2.5 Stooges and welcome back to this Game Maker tutorial. Now, you may remember in the last one of these, jumping happened and wonderful, you can now jump all over the place, you're now, I don't know, do Super Mario, except you're wearing something blue instead of red, you've gained a little weight. I don't know, but in this part you may be noticing that you're starting to stop moving kind of suddenly. And depending on what game you're making, some games do this, some don't. You may want to slow to a stop instead of just like immediately speed equals 0. And to do that, you're going to do something called friction. First thing you want to do is probably going to take this out of that thing there. And there's going to be some slight changes to this section of code, but it's not going to be anything majorly rewritten like the one before. You may also know that GameMaker has some built-in function for friction. If you were to type the word friction and set it as a variable, you would see that it is red and it is a keyword. And you probably don't want that. As with gravity, if you want to have more control over what happens in your game, if you don't want it to kick in when you don't want it to, or you do want it to kick in at certain times when it maybe won't otherwise, if you use GameMaker's built-in friction, like with gravity and collisions and whatever, we're going to be making around. So I'm just going to call this F, because I don't have a good way to abbreviate the word friction, and maybe I could say FRCT. I don't even. That's worse than HSP and VSP. So anyway, I'm going to make this a little bit more than gravity. I think I'm going to make that 0.4. And for those of you who've taken physics class, and maybe not everyone has, maybe some of you are like still sophomores in high school or whatever and haven't taken physics class yet, friction acts in the direction opposite of movement. So if you have a key pressed, you're not going to want this to happen. But otherwise, and I'm just going to copy and paste over here from somewhere where I have already written the line of code out, so I don't have to just waste time. If you're not pressing left and you're not pressing right, then you're going to subtract from your horizontal speed, F, and you're going to multiply that by the sign of HSP, so you can get the positive or negative once again, depending on which it is, without having to do a long if statement. If HSP is positive, do this. If it's negative, do this. So that's going to work. Now, this is all you need, fundamentally, if you're to run the game. You can... Whoa, that's a... I missed a negative sign somewhere, didn't I? Okay, so another thing we're going to want to do is change these to, instead of just keyboard check, to keyboard check pressed. Because before, you were setting this to 0 up here, and it was only ever going to get positive or negative 4. But here, it's kind of adding 4 to the speed or subtracting 4 to the speed every time you have the key down, 30 times a second, and that could be a bit of an issue. So yeah, we're going to say, alright, so if the, yeah, there we go. And you're slowing to a stop now. Wonderful. Now, there's only one slight problem. You may be noticing that if I do change directions quickly, I'm kind of crawling. Or if I were to sort of double tap a key, I would speed up. And that's because the speed hasn't reset to 0 when you're adding or subtracting. So maybe you're at like -3. And then you subtract 4, and then you're suddenly going at -7 pixels per second, so you're just zooming all the way to the left. And you don't want that. So there's a couple workarounds for this. The lazy way that I use is just, if you, give me a minute. If neither of these events have happened, if you haven't pressed the left key or you haven't pressed the right key, reset the speed to 0. And that should fix the problem, let's see. Yeah, once again, friction works. I can double tap a key and I don't fly across the board. Only one potential problem that I don't know if I brought up earlier, and this really pertained to movement more than anything else, but if you hit a wall, you should probably set your speed to 0 there as well. So I'm gonna do that there right before the break, and that's just good practice, just in case your speed isn't 0, but you're still stuck in a wall, so you're not moving anywhere, and that could lead to some weird situations where you appear to be stuck in a wall because the game is still trying to move you that way. Say your horizontal speed is like -10, you just don't happen to be moving because there's a wall in the way. So you're going to want to avoid situations like that. They are annoying to debug because you won't get an error message for it, but it won't do what you want it to do anyway. So that's friction. That's about as basic as you can get. This video wasn't long. It's not a complicated subject, but it is something that I should probably make. because friction is an integral part to some video games, and it does make them look rather better if you make the graphics more complicated. So, as always, I'm going to have this file available for download in the video description, so you can mess around with it. So you can mess around with it if you want. You can set friction to like something ridiculously small, and then you'll be like gliding as if you're on ice physics. And yeah, you can do your ice physics like that. I don't know if you want to make one of those kind of games. But for now, I hope you all enjoyed that. Rate, comment, and subscribe. Watch some other stuff I have uploaded. And I will see you later.